Well, I'm joined now by the Sun's royal photographer Arthur Edwards, political journalist Ava Santina, and TalkTV presenter Richard Tice. Arthur, great to have you. I thought of you, actually, very soon after I heard this news, because it hit me hard when I took a phone call from someone, friend of the new king now and his queen consort, who just said the queen has passed, and it was before it had been announced or confirmed. And I felt a real, like someone had punched me. And I remember quite quickly thinking, I wonder how you were, because you've been such a huge part of covering the lives of the royals, and in particular, this queen. How did you feel when you heard? How did you hear the news?
Well, I heard the news on the BBC, I think, but I was up at Dumfries House with the Prince the night before at he had a dinner there, and it was jovial. It was a great evening. And then the following day, I just saw everybody clear out the hotel quickly. So then I knew that something had happened. And then, of course, when we got the news, I felt for the Prince, actually, because, like you were saying, it's difficult for him trying to cope with the loss of his mother. I mean, your mother's your best friend.
Right.
Okay, you are who you are in this world. Your mother's your best friend.
And he just lost his father, not that long.
And he just lost his father, but now then he had to go and put a brave face on everywhere. And I just think he's done a brilliant job. And that speech he made, and I think he's made a great start.
I totally agree.
Being the king.
And I think he's been incredibly moved and encouraged by the warmth of the reaction from the public. Because he must have been slightly wondering, once his mother died, this unbelievably popular monarch, the greatest in my view in history, he must have been just wondering, I wonder how the public will react to me. But the answer has been with enormous warmth. Yeah. And I think that's really helped him through what has been a professional difficult period where he's got to become this new monarch, but also personally when he's grief-stricken. We saw Princess Anne in the car behind the hearse yesterday for a few hours, looking completely anguished. Yeah. And you understand why. She'd lost both her parents. Yeah. So is King Charles. Yeah. And yet we're expecting him to just get out there and be the king. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even imagine being that strong, actually, in that situation.
Well, he always said, history will judge me. And now he's come out now as the king. And people are seeing him for the man he is, the man I've been working with for the last...
What is he like, Arthur?
He's a fantastic person. He knows everybody in the world. He knows every prime minister, every head of state. He's so well connected, and he's just travelled the world. I mean, we were in Rwanda in June with all the heads of government there, and they all paid great homage to him. I remember one person get down on their knees before him when he came in there from Papua New Guinea. And he is, the reason I still work, Piers, is because I work with this man and the Queen, the new Queen, Camilla. They're just fabulous people. And
really, that's really made you carry on?
Oh, yeah. I really enjoy it. If I've got a job with say, the Prince, if I had a job with the King, the next job, which will be probably on Wednesday when they follow the coffin, I will look to him, but he will be solid.
You had an amazing little moment with him after his mother died, after the Queen passed, and it was captured by a photographer, and you had just a short exchange with him. But tell me what he said to you.
Well, he came off the plane, and I was the only photographer. The RAF lady took that, and he just came up to me and he said, "You okay?" And I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I'm very sorry about your loss." And he said, "Well, it had to happen someday." I think, yeah, it had to happen one day, he said, yeah. And then he just patted me on the arm and, "You okay?" And he went off.
I mean, Arthur, what a moment for you.
Yeah.
And for him, because he recognised that you would probably be feeling very upset about this. But for you to have the new king of this country actually inquiring as to how you're feeling and having that exchange with you is a remarkable thing for anybody.
Yeah, and on the Wednesday night at the party, we were laughing together, we were joking together. There was, 24 hours later, there he is, we're sort of, he's coping, and he's not worried, he's worried about me, and I just, I said, fine. But I was a bit overcome by it. And
Are you surprised, Arthur, that, if you go back, it was 25 years last week since Diana's death. Yeah. And if you remember, as I know you do, but if the people watching, in the aftermath of that, a lot of hostility towards Charles and Camilla, who many people blame for the breakup of the marriage. I never thought it was as straightforward as that at all. But here we are now, 25 years later. They've been married for 17 years. Yeah. It's extraordinary to me to watch their pathway back to public popularity in the way that it's gone. and very encouraging.
Well, just did it for hard work, you know, put their head down and got on with it. Certainly the new queen, I was going to say the Duchess, but Camilla, she just put everything into it. She took on over 200 patronages, and she's just tirelessly as well. But the most important thing is she supports the prince. Like, for instance, when they got off the plane at Norfolk the other day, he came down and she stayed back in the cabin until he met the station commander, and then she came down, you know, and she's done it all the way. She's never, ever hogged the limelight. In fact, she is just perfect for him.
I think Camilla's great. Well, the Queen Consort, to give her correct title. And in fact, I saw a BBC instruction earlier that you should stop talking about the late Queen as the Queen, because actually Camilla is now automatically Queen Consort, and that should be a title for her. And these things are important. I've known the Queen Consort a long time and got to know her quite well, actually, and sat next to her at dinner parties and things like that. She's an incredibly down-to-earth, decent woman, actually.
She never lost a common touch.
She never did.
No.
And she's never... She has that effortless sense of non-entitlement, which the Queen had. In the sense that you never feel like she feels she's entitled to any of this.
No.
You know, she loved this man. And if you think about it, in a way, it's been one of the great love stories. It's endured everything.
Absolutely.
And there's no doubt to me that Camilla has made him happier than anybody else.
Absolutely, and settled and calm, and much more calm about approaching things.
Yeah.
You know, he had a little bit of a sparky temper, you know. I've not seen that for a long while.
No.
I mean, not for a long while, and I mean, I've had some serious telling off from him, you know. But...
Well, you have, but you've also had some great moments, Arthur, and I want to play you one. This is from 2018, where Charles gives his views on you.
He's a very good photographer, and a jolly good bloke, I think, and a very special person. And none of our overseas visits, I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, would be the same without Arthur Edwards there. And I get more and more worried because he's a bit further advanced than we are. And I always worried about the number of cameras and bits of equipment that he carries in boiling hot countries. So, anyway, Arthur, I'm so grateful to you for all your kindness today.
I mean, that's a pretty remarkable... That man's the king of this country now.
Yeah, I know.
Paying that tribute to
Yeah, that chokes me up a bit when he said that, yeah, because, I mean, I didn't expect that. I made that little speech welcoming him to... This was his 70th birthday party we held for him at the Spencer House, and I welcomed him, and I talked about, you know, it wasn't always like this, you know. There were times when it was a little bit hostile, you know, when Kelvin was the editor. And... but, you know, what had happened, I started to see what this man was doing. And I listened to his speeches. I was there when he was begging the president of Brazil to stop ripping up the rainforest. And if he thinks he's got away with it now, I don't think Prince Charles is going to give up. He'll be giving the Prime Minister a little bit of his mind about that, you know, about the environment. He probably won't be able to say anything publicly, but he certainly won't give up.